December 27, 2007. Rawalpindi, Pakistan. A woman stood up through the roof of her car, waving, smiling, fearless. Seconds later, 3 gunshots rang out. Then a blast. And everything went black. Benazir Bhutto, twice Prime Minister, mother of 3, an enemy of extremists, was gone. Killed in plain sight, during daylight, in front of thousands. Who wanted her dead? Why did security vanish at the worst moment? And why were the CCTV cameras mysteriously shut off that day? This is not just the story of a woman. It's the story of a warning ignored, of truth buried, and of a country thrown into chaos. This is the real, chilling tale of Benazir Bhutto, the woman who knew too much. Subscribe now to @MysteryPlaybacksSeries. December 27, 2007, 5:14 p.m. Rawalpindi, Pakistan. The sun was going down in Rawalpindi. Crowds were gathered, packed tight around the Liquid National Bar Park. Flags waved. Drums beat. People cheered. It wasn't just a campaign rally. It felt like a revolution. Inside a white bulletproof SUV, Benazir Bhutto smiled. Her headscarf was soft blue. Her makeup was perfect. She looked calm, but her eyes were alert. Watching everything. She was back. After 8 years in exile, she had returned to Pakistan to fight for the people. To fight the military, the extremists, and the corruption. She knew the risks. She had been warned. Even her own father, Prime Minister Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, was killed by the same military power she now challenged. But she didn't stop. Jai Bhutto! Long live Bhutto! She waved from the sunroof. A warm smile. Flashbulbs sparked. Cameras clicked. Her bodyguard shifted nervously. And then... pop, pop, pop. Gunshots. Before anyone could react, a loud blast shattered the car. The force slammed her against the vehicle. Screams filled the air. People ran. Blood splattered the pavement. Smoke rose. In seconds, the woman who once led an entire country was gone. Benazir Bhutto, age 54, was declared dead at 6:16 p.m., just an hour after the rally. Pakistan froze. Flashback, October 18, 2007, Karachi, Pakistan. Just 2 months before her death, she had landed at Karachi airport to a crowd of over 3 million people. It was her big return. Her second chance. That same night, a massive suicide attack hit her convoy. 149 people were killed. Benazir survived, but barely. She said later, "I saw parts of bodies flying in the air like autumn leaves. They want to stop me. But I will not hide." She blamed the Taliban, Al-Qaeda, and even high-level military insiders. She sent a letter to President Pervez Musharraf. "If anything happens to me, here are the names of those responsible." That letter vanished. Benazir Bhutto knew she was a target. She left behind clues. Warnings. A list of suspects. But those in power were silent. Why? Stay with us as we uncover what really happened, who wanted her gone, and the chaos that followed her death. Subscribe now to @MysteryPlaybacksSeries. The investigation started. But something was wrong. Very wrong. The car was immediately washed. No autopsy was done. The CCTV footage? Lost. Witnesses were not interviewed. Officials said Benazir hit her head on the sunroof and died from the impact. Not bullets. Not a bomb. But photos showed a clean bullet hole. Doctors were pressured to stay quiet. And then, one of her doctors mysteriously disappeared. Who killed Benazir Bhutto? Was it really extremists? Or was it an inside job by the people sworn to protect her? Was it Al-Qaeda? The Pakistani Taliban? Or was the real threat much closer, wearing a suit? Flashback, 1988 Islamabad, Pakistan. She stood in the Parliament building. Young, bold, brave. Benazir Bhutto had just become the first female prime minister of a Muslim country. At just 35 years old, she had defeated a male-dominated world. But even then, she wasn't safe. Her phones were tapped. Her motorcade followed. Secret agents watched her every move. She knew her power came with a price. And so did her enemies. Broken heart, her father's shadow. Her father, Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, was once prime minister too. But in 1979, he was hanged by General Zia-ul-Haq after a controversial military trial. Benazir watched him die. She never forgot. She never forgave. And she never stopped fighting. In interviews, she said, "I carry my father's dream. And I will die for it if I must." Performing arts double-crosses and deals. By 1999, after years in power, she was forced into exile. She moved to London and Dubai, away from death threats and corruption charges. But even in exile, she kept pushing. Making speeches. Writing books. Warning the world. Then in 2007, she struck a secret deal with President Musharraf. The deal? She could return. Her charges would be dropped. And she would lead Pakistan again. But her return wasn't just politics. She came home with something else. Names. Documents. Enemies. She said, "I have proof. If I am killed, the truth must not die with me." Detective #secret emails. Weeks before her death, Benazir emailed Mark Siegel, her US spokesperson. She wrote, "I fear for my life. If I'm assassinated, Pervez Musharraf is to blame." She didn't trust the military. She didn't trust the intelligence agencies. She didn't even trust some members of her own party. And yet, she kept going. Calendar December 26, 2007, the night before she died. She met with a group of friends and party leaders. They begged her, "Don't go to Rawalpindi." She smiled and said, "If I don't go, they win." She had no armor. She had no advanced security. She had only faith and a will stronger than fear. Bomb returned to Rawalpindi, final day. Her white bulletproof Land Cruiser pulled into the park. She gave her speech. Hopeful. Powerful. She spoke about democracy, education, peace. Then, like a storm rolling in. Pop, pop, boom. A man stood up in the crowd. He smiled. Pulled a gun. Fired 3 shots. Then blew himself up. In a flash, the crowd was gone. In a flash, Benazir Bhutto was gone too. No entry #immediate cover-up. Within 2 hours, the crime scene was hosed down. The car was scrubbed clean. No bullet fragments were kept. No serious forensic team arrived. One doctor said, "We weren't allowed to do a full autopsy. Orders from above." And when the CCTV footage was requested, it was accidentally deleted, they said. Microphone anger erupts nationwide. From Karachi to Peshawar, cities went up in flames. Trains were burned. Banks looted. Government offices stormed. The people screamed, "Who killed our leader? Where is the justice?" The suicide bomber? His identity changed 3 times in the investigation. First, he was a Taliban recruit. Then he was a teenage boy. Then, he was nobody. The only thing that stayed the same. He was dead. And couldn't talk. This is not fiction. This is not a movie. This was a real woman, trying to lead her country out of darkness. A mother. A daughter. A leader. A symbol. She died with her eyes open, facing the crowd, waving to her people. December 27, 2007. Benazir's body was rushed to Rawalpindi General Hospital. Doctors tried, but the damage was too much. A bullet had entered her head, behind her right ear. Her skull was fractured. Her spinal cord was broken. And yet, no autopsy was done. Just a few hours later, her body was taken away. Wrapped. Buried. No investigation. No answers. At 2:22 a.m. that same night, fire trucks arrived. Not to save lives, but to hose down the entire blast site. The blood, the brain matter, the clues, all gone. The United Nations would later ask, why was the crime scene destroyed within hours? No answer ever came. Days before she died, Benazir sent a letter to President Pervez Musharraf. Inside, she listed 5 names. 5 people she believed would try to kill her. The list included a senior Pakistani intelligence officer, a former ISI general, a political figure with links to extremist groups. But after her death, the letter vanished. A witness told the BBC, there was a man in the crowd, dressed in black. He signaled the assassin moments before the shooting, then disappeared. Security footage was later tampered with. Multiple angles went missing. Benazir's team had been blocked from scanning the area before the speech. No snipers. No rooftop guards. Why? The United Nations finally stepped in. Led by Chilean diplomat Geraldo Muñoz, the team spent 9 months digging. Their findings shocked the world. Key conclusions. Pakistani military and intelligence agencies failed to provide adequate security. The crime scene was deliberately destroyed. The investigation by police was deeply flawed. And the government's explanation was not credible. President Musharraf's spokesman said, Benazir died because she hit her head on the sunroof handle. The world gasped. That was their excuse? A bump on the head? But witnesses, doctors, and video footage all pointed to a bullet. Not a sunroof. Even the UN called this lie an insult to intelligence and truth. Moments before the explosion, a journalist captured her voice on a tape recorder. She said, the people of Pakistan deserve a future without fear. Then silence. Then screams. Her husband, Asif Ali Zardari, collapsed when he heard the news. Her children were just teenagers. Her son, Bilawal, gave a trembling speech. My mother always said, democracy is the best revenge. He would later become a politician too. But the scars never left. Benazir Bhutto died in the same city where her father had been hanged. She died chasing a future she would never see. She wanted free education for girls. She wanted to end religious extremism. She wanted to protect Pakistan's poor. But instead, she became a martyr, a symbol, and a ghost in the shadows of power. This story is far from over. She had names. She had enemies. And one final twist was still coming. Subscribe now to @MysteryPlaybacksSeries so you don't miss the truth behind the cover-up. After months of silence, one name came up again and again. Baitullah Mehsud, a tribal warlord, leader of the Pakistani Taliban. The government said he planned the assassination, but there was no hard evidence. No footage. No phone call logs. Just a supposed confession tape that was later debunked. Remember the letter Benazir wrote before she died? The one sent to President Musharraf? That list of 5 people she feared? Only one name ever came to light. Brigadier Ejaz Shah, former intelligence chief, close ally to Musharraf, rumored to have deep ties with extremist groups. Benazir had accused him of planting bombs in her offices back in 2002. He denied it. No charges were filed. He later became Pakistan's interior minister. The others on the list? Still unknown. Many experts believe Benazir wasn't just killed by a lone attacker. It was a network. A web. Some from military intelligence. Some from radical groups. Some with political power. Benazir was about to win the election. She had promised to reign in the military. She wanted to expose nuclear secrets being sold to rogue states. Too many people had too much to lose. Scotland Yard later reviewed security tapes from the day of the attack. But large parts were missing. The moment of the gunshot? Gone. The face of the shooter? Blurred. Nearby CCTV? Deleted by accident. Every time investigators asked questions, they hit a wall. The cameras worked that morning. But somehow, they didn't record the murder. How convenient. She had been using her BlackBerry just minutes before the blast. She was texting her aides, calling journalists. She even sent one final message to a friend. I feel a strange energy in the crowd. Something is off. When investigators checked her phone, it had been wiped clean. No texts. No call logs. No saved drafts. The device was never returned to her family. Weeks before her death, US intelligence warned her. Don't attend public rallies. Your security is not guaranteed. She refused. She told CNN, if I die, I die. But I must show the people I'm not afraid. Her enemies knew it. Her friends feared it. And her country watched it happen. Benazir Bhutto's father, Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, was once overthrown and hanged by General Zia-ul-Haq in 1979. Zia died in a mysterious plane crash in 1988. Many believed Benazir never forgot. She once said, "The same people who killed my father still rule from the shadows." After her death, CNN's Wolf Blitzer revealed a chilling email Benazir had sent him in October 2007. She wrote, "If I am killed, I hold Pervez Musharraf responsible. He denied me adequate security. He allowed the threats to grow. The world went cold. Musharraf denied everything. But years later, he was charged in her murder case. The trial never went far. He fled the country. Lived in exile." Benazir's death didn't stop the power games. Her husband, Asif Ali Zardari, became president. Her son, Bilawal Bhutto Zardari, became the party leader. The Pakistan People's Party kept running on her name. But some called it a betrayal. Benazir died for democracy, they said. But did democracy ever come? Or did her death simply create new kings and queens? This isn't fiction. This isn't a spy thriller. This was real life. A mother. A leader. A fighter. Killed in public. In daylight. On camera. And no one, not one person, has ever been truly held accountable. In the final chapters, why some believe foreign intelligence had a role. The woman who claimed to have witnessed the real plan. And the final mystery of Benazir's last call. Don't miss what's next. Subscribe now to @MysteryPlaybacksSeries to uncover the truth. It was chaos on the ground. Blood. Screaming. Running feet. Benazir Bhutto's car was now covered in black smoke and shattered glass. Her security team looked shocked. No one had expected an attack this brutal, this fast. They rushed her to Rawalpindi General Hospital. She was not breathing. The doctors worked hard, chest compressions, adrenaline, tubes down her throat. Nothing. 8:32 p.m. at the official time of death. Benazir Bhutto was declared dead. A chill fell across Pakistan. Radio stations went silent. Shops closed early. People stood in the streets, holding candles and crying. Earlier that same day, just hours before her death, Benazir had told her team, If I die, let the world know I came back for the people. She knew the risk. But she believed something bigger than fear. Hope. Justice. Democracy. She told her children in a letter, "I am not afraid. If I die, know I did not give up." Right after her death, strange things began happening. The car was washed within hours. The crime scene was cleaned, no blood, no evidence. CCTV footage? All cameras were not working that day. Security detail? They had been reassigned. The official story blamed the Taliban. They said a suicide bomber had killed her. But people weren't buying it. How does a woman with so many enemies get left exposed like that? Why were police officers told to stand down? Why was her post-mortem refused? Benazir's family demanded answers. The world watched. And yet, no one was ever punished. Benazir Bhutto wasn't just a politician. She was the first Muslim woman to lead a democratic nation. She stood up to dictators, extremists, and corrupt generals. She was loved by the poor, feared by the powerful. She was killed not just for who she was, but for what she stood for. A voice for the voiceless. After her death, Pakistan burned. Riots broke out in Karachi, Lahore, Islamabad. Trains were set on fire. Banks were looted. Hundreds were injured. Dozens died. People shouted, "You killed our mother. We want answers. Bhutto Zindabad. Long live Bhutto." The army was sent in. Curfews were declared. But the pain wouldn't go away. Today, Benazir Bhutto is remembered as a symbol of courage. Her son, Bilawal, now carries her political torch. Her face is printed on murals, coins, and school walls. She was not perfect. She made enemies. But she never backed down. Her death was more than an assassination. It was a message. Truth is dangerous. And women with power are feared. Benazir waving through her car rooftop. Smiling. Wind in her scarf. Crowd cheering. Then, gunfire. Her voice plays in the background. You can imprison a man, but not an idea. You can exile a person, but not hope. If this story moved you, share it. If you believe truth deserves a voice, subscribe. This was the true story of Benazir Bhutto, the woman who knew too much. Subscribe to @MysteryPlaybacksSeries. More true stories. More truth. More voices that must be heard.